Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Matthew's Sports Talk. We have a lot to talk about today, because it's been a couple of days. So starting off, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Disappointing. I don't know. That could be the understatement of the year. The word disappointing on describing the Vikings 0-2 start. Now, when a team is this bad, I usually go to what's called the blame game, which I assign different percentage of how much to blame to different units. Right now I'm at 50, 40, 10. 50% on the defense, 40% on the offense, and 10% on the defense. So 50% on the defense, obviously, because it's the young secondary, and you guys can't really stop anything right now. And the injuries really don't help there. Danielle Hunter being out, and now, of course, we just lost Anthony Barr for the season with a torn pectoral muscle, so that's a really big bummer. So obviously it's going to be next man up, but you guys got to figure out how to make and it's not just covering, it's also blocking. And obviously our defensive line is not where obviously it's not where it's at, but it's just, it used to be we were so good against the run. Now it's like we're not good at covering the pass, obviously, because we have a young secondary, and now it's like we can't stop the run. So it's like everything that's going on is happening on defense. And now it's 40% on the offense. I was at work on Sunday, so I actually wasn't able to watch the game in full. I was monitoring it relatively throughout the game. I didn't realize Kirk Cousins throwing in 3 interceptions, but it's the thing. It's like when I heard they traded Stephon Diggs, it's like, what are you guys thinking? It's like with Thielen and Diggs, you have the two very dynamic pass catchers, so you can very easily figure out schemes in order to target one, if not both, and try to fool defenses. Can't do that now because you don't have a second receiver outside of Thielen. You've tried to throw into Irv Smith Jr., that hasn't worked. You've tried to throw into Kyle Rudolph, that hasn't worked really this season. You guys drafted Justin Jefferson, but I haven't really seen him that much. So, that's why it's like, and also the 10% coaching ties into the offense, because personally it's like, on offense, the play calling is so predictable, it's laughable. It's like, people know you have Dalvin Cook, okay? So yes, use him, but don't be predictable with him. And this is where I kind of go back to the past. It's like, problem is when later in AP's time with the Vikings is that we were just so predictable with him, handing him off the ball and having him run up the middle. It's almost like the same thing with Dalvin Cook now. It's like we're not having him do sweeps, or we're not having him, step in a pass scheme or anything like that. So it feels like we're revisiting the past, and it's like, once again, we're becoming predictable. People can see that we're running the ball, and it's also annoying, especially when it's in the end zone. It's like, yes, you have Dalvin Cook. Okay, we know you're going to hand him off the ball, and he's going to run into the end zone. So they're going to try to predict and play with that, so they stack the box. So this is where it's like, okay, you have to realize they are predicting Dalvin Cook will get the handoff in the red zone to go in for the touchdown. It's like, how about you try doing a spread pass? Like, get Thielen, Rudolph, maybe Irv Smith Jr., or, maybe your new toy Justin Jefferson out on the edge, and see what you can work from there. But, alas, nobody's calling me to be an offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings anytime soon. But I'm sure they would probably utilize somebody to tell them, hey, you guys are being a little bit too predictable. and that would be kind of an understatement because it being way too predictable. So, and now this is why I'm also this is where I kind of do a little reverse topic speaking. Yes, we're 0-2, but we're 0, and yes, it hasn't looked pretty, but we have lost to 2 teams that I feel like could be playoff contending teams. Well, Packers surely are playoff contending teams, and with the extra wild card spot this season, the Colts could very well be contending for a wild card spot in the AFC. So that's why I'm not necessarily, worrying too much. Now, obviously, you got the Tennessee Titans next week. They're 2-0, but I mean they haven't had 2 solid wins. They barely scraped by a Broncos team without Von Miller, and they also gave up 30 points to the Jaguars, and they only beat them by like a field goal. So, now out of curiosity, I want to look up what Derrick Henry is doing. So yeah, Derrick Henry right now, I mean, first game he got 116 yards, but the second game he got 84 yards, and he has yet to get a touchdown. So it's like, gotta utilize players like Derrick Henry like if they're supposed to, like power runners and stuff like that. So, excuse me. So moving on from the Vikings, I have thought about them enough this week. Don't want to think about them until next Sunday, and hopefully I will have better things to report next Sunday, but I don't want to say anything to jinx it. So now let's give a little bit of a rundown of week 2 of the NFL. Let's start with actually the game that just ended like an hour and a half ago. The Monday Night Football game, the Saints and the Raiders. The Raiders, being very, very surprising, gained the win 34-24. The Raiders did a good job of using their tight end, and I forget what his name is, Waller. 103 yards and a touchdown. And Derek Carr had pretty much a perfect game, 282 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, and Josh Jacobs ran like crazy. I think the problem on the New Orleans side was Drew Brees didn't obviously have a good game. I mean, he did throw an interception, and not having Michael Thomas definitely means that, I mean, when you lose weapons like that, it makes what you're doing with your other weapons more predictable. Kind of like with the Minnesota Vikings, when you trade with Stephon Diggs, it makes you predictable. It's like Thielen's the only top guy you can throw to. This is what I mean by the Saints, because Michael Thomas was out with an injury, so now it's like, hey, it's Alvin Kamara. Or hey, it's Emmanuel Sanders, who got, I'm pretty sure, less than 10 yards receiving. And then there's Jared Cook. And I picked up Jared Cook. He did get a touchdown on one of my fantasy teams, so I am happy about that. We'll talk about that later. And then, also, the penalties are killing the Saints. They are leading the league in penalties right now over the first 2 games, and I just want to pull them up because I think, yeah, Saints were penalized 10 times for a total of 129 yards. That's bad. So the Saints need to clean up their penalties. But yeah, no, way to go for the Raiders. They could be a surprise team out of the AFC. I didn't think they would be, a playoff contending team this year. Maybe they will be. So we will have to wait and see about that. Going back to the Thursday night game, the Browns beat the Bengals 35-30. Okay, yes. Well done, Cleveland. You beat the Cincinnati Bengals. It's not that hard. But you know what? I will tell you this. Joe Burrow is now the number 3 overall quarterback in the AFC North. I mean, you ask the guy to throw for 61 passing attempts. He completes 37 of them for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. I can't remember the last rookie quarterback that ever got 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in a single game and threw for more than 50 times. That's just crazy stats. This guy, Joe Burrow, is definitely the future of the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Cleveland Browns, yeah, whatever. I mean, Nick Chubb had a good game, ran 124 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it's like, I expect that Cincinnati will be third place in this division at the end of the season. So, there's that. Let's see. What else to talk about? Oh, yes. 2 other games that I wanted to... Or actually, kind of 3 games that I want to hit on. One of them, I will talk about right after we take a really, really quick break. Okay, I'm back after a very, very quick break. So yeah, the obvious game is Cowboys beating the Falcons 40-39. The Falcons were up 20-0. They were up 29-10. And then they were up 15 points with less than 5 minutes to go in the game and lost it. Let me repeat this. Make this absolutely clear. The Cowboys didn't win this game. The Atlanta Falcons lost it. They blew it. Just like they blew the Super Bowl not too long ago, they blew this game against the Cowboys. It seems like whenever the Falcons venture into Texas, they somehow can get really, really good leads and then blow them. And this simply comes down to one play. An onside kick, which if you had players who knew what to do, all you had to do was jump on the ball, and that would be it. We wouldn't be having this conversation. But yet, their special teams had a major brain tumor happen during that play. So, that game probably frustrated Falcons fans a lot. I know it definitely frustrated me a lot because, I feel like the Cowboys obviously did not have that great of a game. So, when you blow it like that, it makes everyone who looks at the Cowboys in the same manner that I do, makes us look bad. Because it makes the Cowboys seem like something that they aren't, which is a team that won a football game on Sunday by beating the Falcons 40-39, which is not what happened. The Falcons lost to the Cowboys 40-39. So there's that. The Bears and the Giants. Were there a lot of injuries in week 2. A record number of torn ACLs, one of them being Saquon Barkley, which I feel very, very sorry for a good majority of fantasy owners who drafted Saquon Barkley very, very early. And I also feel bad for the New York Giants because I felt like Saquon Barkley was the only way that they could do anything this season. So, but not focusing on the Giants in this game. I'm focusing on the Bears. There are several teams that I feel like deserve to be 2-0 that fought hard, like the Chiefs, Ravens, Packers. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it is true. The Bears are not one of them. The Bears, to be the fact that they are 2-0, are very, very lucky. Because they could very easily be 0-2. Last week, they beat a Lions team that, as I stated, blew that game. They blew that game. They had a ball that they did not catch in the end zone, and had they catch that, the Lions would have won that game. So, Bears get lucky, numero uno. And then the Bears also get lucky, numero dos, in the game against the Giants, because once again, the Giants had a game-winning drive going. They were in the Bears' red zone, and yet they couldn't capitalize. So, as I reiterate, Bears are very, very lucky 2-0, and I will reflect more on that when I get to my weekly power rankings. So, and then another game that I'll touch quickly on. So the 49ers beat the Jets 31-13, but man, did they get beat up. Nick Bosa, another player with a torn ACL, out for the season. Jimmy Garoppolo has, I believe, a high ankle sprain, so he is week to week. Mostert out. So even though the 49ers won on Sunday, I feel like they really, really lost because of all the players that they lost to injury. So there's that. Now let's just do a little quick rundown of the rest of the games. Packers beating the Lions 42-21. Lions, once again, for some reason, got ahead in this game at one point. I remember seeing that. But as predicted, the Lions can't really do anything worthwhile that will benefit other teams in the NFL. Titans beating the Jaguars 33-30. Like I said, this is a Titans team that, even though they're 2-0, it's another team that could very, very likely have been 0-2. Yes, Ryan Tannehill did look good, throwing 239 yards and 4 touchdowns, but Derrick Henry, I feel like, has not been utilized to full potential yet this season. So there's that. Bills beating the Dolphins 31-28. Josh Allen has looked like an absolute beast to start off this season. 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's just insane. And yet, the Bills defense, who is on one of my teams, managed to give up 28 points to the Miami Dolphins. So, defense was a little bit, of a worry factor this week, but you still managed to win because Josh Allen is balling. So, there's that. And you're lucky enough to have a guy named Stephon Diggs. Rams beat the Eagles 37-19. Carson Wentz is just not. I want to refer back to. Yeah, here we go. I have him at number 16 in my quarterback rankings. My quarterback rankings I'm not going to do week to week because, I feel like there's just not enough sample size. But if I was to do it week to week, I feel like Carson Wentz will be dropping big time after this week. He's just making so many unnecessary risks. He's forcing the ball, and when you force the ball, inevitably you will turn over the ball. So I just feel like they need to figure out what's going on in his head if they want any shot to turn around. Because, the NFC East is obviously the worst division in the NFL, which also means as of this moment is the most wide open division of the NFL. I feel like any team can win the NFC East right now. You got 2 teams that are sitting at 1-1 right now. You got the Washington football team, excuse me. And you also got the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, saying that they are 1-1 right now, very easily could be 0-2. So that kind of shows you how bad the state of things are in the NFC East. Now, I will tell you this. There's definitely one team that's not going to win that division, and that's the New York Giants. The only way the Giants were going to be able to win that division was with Saquon Barkley. And obviously, with Saquon Barkley out for the remainder of the season, they're not going to be able to do anything. So, that essentially gives you, right now, a 3-way race. And now, eventually, I think it will sizzle out, and the Washington national team, or the Washington football team, sorry, I don't know why I keep on saying national team, but whatever. I think they will eventually fizzle out and not be in the running. I still feel like this is between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think it could very well come down to the final week of the season. But it's not over for the Eagles. So there's that. Steelers beat the Broncos 26-21. Broncos lost Drew Lock. He'll be out a couple weeks, so we'll see about that. The Buccaneers beat the Panthers 31-17. Tom Brady looked better, but he still obviously is not the Tom Brady of old. He is still very, very Tom Brady of the new, and that new is being a 43-year-old quarterback. And the Panthers lost Christian McCaffrey to an injury, but he won't be out for the season. But he will be out for at least a month, which obviously is a blow to them. The Cardinals beat the Washington football team 30-15. Cardinals, another surprise 2-0 team. So yeah, I have to keep a closer eye on them. The Chiefs beat the Chargers 23-20 in overtime. Honestly, I feel like the AFC West is not a cakewalk division. I think the Chiefs probably got into their mindset that it was their division to lose, which it still technically is. But I feel like after this game, they probably will dial it back a little bit and realize, they have to be a little bit more humble. Because the Chargers, Tyrod Taylor was taken out because of chest pains. He actually didn't play the game, and they put in their rookie quarterback, which Justin Herbert, and he threw for over 300 yards. So, the Chargers made it very, very interesting. So, I don't think the Chiefs can take anything for granted now. The Ravens beat the Texans 33-16, as I thought would happen. Texans, another team like the Vikings, in a similar boat like the Eagles, start out 0-2. But I think you have to assign that factor because the Texans had a really hard, difficult start to the season. Even though they aren't 2, I feel like they can still bounce back because they did start off the season at the Chiefs and at the Ravens, or at least I think it was at the Ravens. Oh no, it was in Houston. But yeah, no. Still very, very hard strength of difficulty to start out the season for the Texans. Wow, I don't know why it took me so long there. Then the Seahawks beat the Patriots 35-30. Russell Wilson looks very, very good, he's a very, very good quarterback, so I expect that. Cam Newton is starting to surprise me, but as I think I stated before, the way he is playing, his style of play, I don't think he can continue that for the whole season. I feel like if he tries to do that for the whole season, he will eventually get injured, and then the Patriots will be up shit creek because they don't really have any backup. And the Patriots only have one weapon on offense, and that's Julian Edelman. And this is the problem Brady ran into last year. When you don't give a quarterback weapons on offense, he will struggle. And that is what happened last year because Brady did not have any weapons on offense. So I think I will say, and I've argued with this with other people who I will not mention, but I think the Patriots will end the season at 9-7, and I think they will just barely miss the playoffs. I think they will end up number 8, and 9-7. So mark my words, that's my prediction. That is the rundown for the second week of the NFL. So I'm actually going to break off the episode here since I'm nearing the 25-minute mark. I will move this over to a second part of this episode, or maybe since we have officially crossed the date line. So I will make this a new episode for a new day. So, I will be back in a little bit. and talk about my NFL power rankings and various other discussion points. So stay tuned.